They told me to get over it. Just like that. Like it was a breakup or a missed flight. Like I hadn't just spent weeks holding my belly at night, whispering dreams into a space that was once full, and then, suddenly, wasn't. I lost my baby in February. A cold, gray month that always felt heavy. But now, it's unbearable. The world kept spinning, but mine had stopped. I'm Rachel, 34, single. Not by choice. My husband left 3 years ago, said he couldn't handle the pressure of trying. Said maybe we weren't meant to be parents. I should have known when he packed his bags and forgot to take our ultrasound photo off the fridge. I left it there until it faded. After he left, I tried again. Alone. Fertility treatments, specialists, savings drained. And then finally, I was pregnant. I barely told anyone at first. I was scared I'd jinx it. But at 10 weeks, I started bleeding. The kind that you know isn't just spotting. The kind that pulls your heart out before the doctor can confirm it. I called my mom from the hospital bathroom stall. My voice was shaking so badly I could barely get the words out. I told her I lost the baby. She paused, then said, "Rachel, you'll have another. These things happen. Just get some rest. No, I'm sorry. No coming over. No hand to hold." The next day, my sister Amanda posted a photo on Facebook. She was cradling her stomach, 6 months pregnant, with a caption, "Bumping into spring with this little miracle." I stared at the screen for an hour. No one mentioned me. Not one comment saying, "Thinking of Rachel." Not even a message from Amanda. Just hearts, emojis, congratulations. I felt like a ghost watching my own family celebrate while I was still bleeding out grief. I texted Amanda, simply, "Did you know?" She replied, "I heard, sorry, but I didn't want to post late, it was scheduled." Scheduled. Her joy was too well planned to be postponed. My loss apparently didn't fit her content calendar. I stopped going to family dinners after that. At first, they called and asked if I was okay. I told them the truth. No, I'm not. That was the last time most of them reached out. Grief is funny like that. People think it's contagious. Like if they come too close, they'll catch your sorrow. I thought maybe I was being too sensitive. I went to one dinner. Amanda was holding court at the head of the table, talking about nursery themes and baby names. I brought a small candle and put it next to my plate. My own little tribute to what I lost. Mom noticed. She leaned over and whispered, "Please don't make tonight about you." That was the night something inside me snapped. Not in an angry throw-a-plate kind of way, more like the final crack in a glass that had already been stressed to its limit. I started journaling after that. Not just to cope, but to remember. Every word, every silence. I didn't want to gaslight myself into thinking I was being dramatic. I needed proof. And the more I wrote, the clearer it became. They never saw me as someone who could lose something, because in their eyes, I never had anything worth losing. Amanda always got the spotlight, the golden child, the pretty one, the one who never made things difficult. I was the independent one, the one who paid her own way, never asked for help, always smiled too tightly. I didn't smile after February, and nobody knew what to do with me. Mom started suggesting light hobbies, said maybe I needed to stop marinating in the sadness. Dad didn't say much. He never did. He just watched football and handed me cold drinks like they were solutions. One Sunday, I came over with soup. I left it on the stove and sat quietly on the porch. Amanda walked out and said, "If you're gonna be this mopey, maybe it's better you stay home." She was holding her belly like a trophy, smiling like life only moved in her direction. I nodded, said nothing, and I haven't been back since. It's amazing how grief isolates you, but also clarifies. I used to think I was just the background character in their lives. Now I knew it. But they were wrong about one thing. I hadn't lost everything. Because I still had my mind. and I was paying attention. There's a kind of silence that doesn't feel peaceful. It feels like suffocation, like everyone in the room knows something but refuses to say it out loud. That's what being around my family became. Weeks after the miscarriage, every conversation, every glance, every gathering felt wrapped in plastic. Nothing real could breathe inside it. They kept inviting me. I think part of them thought they were being kind. "Come on over for dinner," Mom would say. "We'll have your favorite. Amanda made a salad. She really wants to see you." Translation: pretend everything's fine so we don't have to feel bad about ignoring your pain. I stopped replying for a while, until one afternoon, Mom showed up at my door. I opened it to see her standing there with a casserole dish and a look that screamed forced compassion. "Rachel," she said with her sweet when she needs something voice, "you can't keep shutting us out. We're family. We love you. You just need to let joy back in. Let Amanda's happiness help you heal." Let her happiness help me heal. I bit my tongue so hard it nearly bled. That night I came to dinner. Amanda wore a blush pink maternity dress and a headband with tiny roses. She looked like a Hallmark card. Connor, her boyfriend, sat beside her, hands clasped around her swollen belly like it was holy. And me? I sat across from them with my teeth clenched and my hands folded, like a visitor at a church I didn't believe in anymore. "So," Amanda chirped across the table, "I was thinking of naming her Hope. Isn't that beautiful?" I stared at her. Hope. The audacity of that word in this house. Mom clapped her hands together. "Oh, honey, it's perfect. Especially now. After everything." After everything. Like my everything wasn't part of that. I reached for the water pitcher, just to have something to do, and Amanda suddenly said, "Honestly, Rach, it's really inspiring to see you out and about again. After, your thing." My thing. I smiled, wide and empty. "Thank you, and congratulations on your event." Amanda blinked. "You mean the baby?" I shrugged. "Sure." The table went silent for a beat, and then Mom laughed too loudly. "Let's not be awkward, girls. Rachel, tell us about work. Still doing that design stuff?" Still doing that design stuff. I'd just signed a deal to redesign a boutique hotel's branding across 3 states. But to them, I was still the girl who doodled in notebooks during church sermons. I told them anyway. Talked about the project, the deadlines, the challenge. Amanda nodded politely, clearly not listening. She turned to Connor and whispered something behind her hand. They both giggled. I wanted to throw my plate against the wall. Instead, I excused myself to the bathroom and stared into the mirror until my face stopped shaking. "Just smile, Rachel," I whispered to myself. "Just smile." That became my ritual. Pretend long enough to collect information. Because as much as they thought I was unraveling, I was actually taking notes. Mentally, emotionally, and eventually, literally. In the quiet of my apartment, I started writing everything down. What they said, what they didn't say, dates, conversations, Amanda's timeline. Her due date didn't add up, not if she got back together with Connor when she said she did. Something was off. And once I noticed the crack, I couldn't stop seeing them. She told everyone she got pregnant in late July. But I remembered a call in early September, her crying because she thought she ruined everything and couldn't tell Mom. She said she was so stupid and should have been more careful. I had assumed it was a fight with Connor. Now I wasn't so sure. Then there was the appointment slip I saw on her fridge the last time I dropped off soup. Dated for a first ultrasound in October. That's not how the timing usually works for a 6-month pregnancy. I started building a timeline. I made a chart. Not out of spite, but because I needed to know if I was losing my mind or if the pieces genuinely didn't fit. Turns out they didn't. Still, I kept smiling at family dinners, watching, listening, letting Amanda parade her pregnancy like a crown. Everyone oohed and awed, never questioning a thing. Not Connor, not Mom, not even Dad, who usually notices everything when it comes to dates and numbers. But me? I noticed everything now. I noticed how Amanda flinched when someone asked if Connor had been excited when she told him the news. I noticed how Connor said, "Yeah, I was surprised," instead of thrilled or over the moon. I noticed how Amanda quickly changed the subject when our cousin brought up their short breakup. I noticed it all, and I wrote it down. Because I wasn't just grieving anymore. I was preparing. They thought my silence was surrender, but it wasn't. It was strategy. It came on a Thursday afternoon in the middle of a normal workday. I was elbows deep in a branding project for a health spa when a notification popped up on my laptop. An email from someone I didn't recognize, Lily Davis. Subject: Final baby shower guest list and details. I almost deleted it, thought it was spam, but curiosity made me click, and what I saw made my breath hitch. It was Amanda's baby shower. A surprise baby shower, scheduled for next weekend, at my mother's house. I wasn't supposed to be on that email. At first, I thought maybe Amanda had finally decided to include me. Maybe this was a peace offering. But as I scrolled, I saw the message thread between Lily and my mom. Lily: should we include Rachel? Amanda said she might want her there, but didn't sound sure. Mom: honestly, I'd keep it simple. We want this to be joyful, no drama. Lily: got it. Then I won't add her to the official list. Mom: good girl. We'll deal with Rachel later. Deal with me later. Like I was a problem. Like my pain was a mess they didn't want staining their celebration. I stared at the screen, numb. And then I did something I hadn't done in months. I laughed. Not because it was funny. It was bitter, hollow laughter. The kind that tastes like iron in your throat. So that's how little I mattered now. I wasn't even worth the discomfort of awkward silence at a party. They were willing to rewrite reality entirely just to preserve Amanda's perfect bubble. Pretend like I didn't exist. But they forgot one thing. I was still watching. And now, I was done just watching. I reread every word of that thread, took screenshots, saved them to a hidden folder labeled Forget Me Not. The name was ironic and necessary, because if they were going to erase me, I was going to make damn sure I documented every brushstroke of their revisionist history. I called Lily that evening, pretended I'd just heard something through the grapevine. "Oh, hey, Lily," I said sweetly. "So I heard Amanda's shower is next weekend. Need help with anything?" There was a pause, long enough for her to process the mistake. "Oh, yeah. I wasn't sure if you were. Amanda said." She trailed off. I let her squirm. "No worries," I said calmly. "You know me. Wouldn't miss a family event." And just like that, I confirmed my attendance to a party I wasn't meant to see. I knew it was petty. I knew showing up would be messy. But I also knew I was done being left out of my own life. They'd taken my grief and boxed it away. Pretended it was an inconvenience. Not a death. Not a child. Not a dream. And the more I thought about it, the more the pieces started rearranging themselves into a much darker puzzle. Amanda had gotten pregnant right after her brief breakup with Connor. They had split for nearly 2 months after he found messages from her ex on her phone. She swore it was just harmless flirting. But I remembered her meltdown in early September, how she said she messed up everything. Back then, I assumed it meant the breakup. But what if it wasn't? What if it was the pregnancy? What if Amanda wasn't sure who the father was? That would explain the erratic dates, the sudden reconciliation with Connor, the overly public social media posts, the urgency to make everything look perfect. It would also explain why she didn't want me at the shower, because Amanda knew I noticed things, always had. And this time, I wasn't going to stay quiet. That night, I sat on my bed with my laptop open and started a spreadsheet. Yes, a spreadsheet. I listed dates: when Amanda and Connor broke up, when they got back together, her first public pregnancy post, her ultrasound dates, her appointment slips from pictures she posted, her baby registry creation date. It didn't add up, not if you did the math. According to her posts, she conceived during a time she and Connor weren't even speaking. She claimed it was a miracle that brought them back together. I always thought that line sounded rehearsed. Now it sounded like a lie. I opened another tab and searched. How to collect DNA samples discreetly. It wasn't revenge, not yet. It was truth-seeking. I didn't want to ruin Amanda's life. I didn't want to hurt her. I just didn't want her lies celebrated in the same space my truth had been buried. The shower would be the perfect place. Everyone would be there. Everyone who ignored my pain. Everyone who decided my loss wasn't newsworthy. But Amanda's uterus was headline material. So I planned, carefully, quietly, because they didn't want me at that party. But I was going, and I wasn't going empty-handed. It was one of those offhand comments, the kind people say when they think no one's really listening. But I was. I always was now. 3 days before the baby shower, Amanda invited me to Mom's for brunch. It was unexpected. She claimed it was to reconnect before the big day. I knew better. It was damage control. Somehow, she'd found out I knew about the shower, and inviting me now was her way of pretending I hadn't been deliberately excluded. I agreed to come. The house smelled like buttered toast and rosewater hand soap. The table was dressed in lace. Amanda sat at the head, glowing in that artificial way she did when she needed to be adored. "Oh my God, Rachel," she said dramatically as I walked in. "You look great. Grief really suits you. Like you have that tragic elegance now." I gave a tight smile. "Thanks. Pregnancy suits you too. You've always been good at carrying things." She didn't get it. Mom did. Her eyes flicked up, narrowed for a split second, and then she poured more coffee like she hadn't heard a thing. The meal was fine. Safe. The kind of empty conversation families use to cover the cracks. But then, as Amanda rubbed her belly, she said something I wasn't ready for. "You know," she said, "it's wild how fast things can change. One minute you're empty, the next you're full." I froze. Mom didn't flinch. She just nodded. God works in mysterious ways. But me? I was staring at Amanda like she'd just confessed to a crime. Because she wasn't just talking about herself. She was making a reference, a cruel, veiled swipe at me, at my miscarriage. She knew exactly what she was saying. And that's when I knew. It wasn't just selfishness. It was intentional. All of it. She wanted to erase me, step over me, paint her perfect life directly over my broken one, like white paint over bloodstains. I smiled, my fork poised midair. That's true. Though some things fill up faster than others, sometimes unnaturally fast. Amanda blinked. "What's that supposed to mean?" "Oh, just a thought," I said sweetly. "You know, with timelines and all, I guess I've always been fascinated with math." Mom interrupted quickly. "We're not doing this." "Doing what?" I asked, eyes still locked on Amanda. "Just brunch and baby talk, right?" Amanda stood up abruptly. "I think we're done here." I stayed seated. "Sure, but Amanda?" She turned at the doorway. "You ever think about who hope might look like?" Her face twitched. Connor? Her ex? Someone else? I didn't need an answer that day, because her silence said enough. That night, I couldn't sleep. I paced my apartment, pulled out every piece of paper I'd been collecting. Dates, photos, screenshots. I spread them across my kitchen counter like I was solving a cold case. In many ways, I was. I knew if I was going to do this, I had to be precise. No accusations, just facts. That's when I remembered the swab. Weeks ago, Amanda posted a giddy video on Instagram of her prepping for an at-home ultrasound session. She'd zoomed in on the gel pad she'd used for the device, showed off her belly bump, and casually tossed the swab into a pink baby bag with other supplies. That bag was always at Mom's, and the shower would be at Mom's. It was a long shot, but if I could get a fresh swab or tissue sample, even from the baby's bottle nipples or a pacifier Amanda was planning to pre-sterilize, I could send it to a discreet lab. They offered private paternity tests with results in 5 days. I placed the order online that night. Expedited. The next day, I went to a pharmacy and bought soft gloves, a Ziploc bag, and a small labeled envelope. I slipped it all into my purse like I was carrying contraband. And when I dropped by Mom's the day before the shower, offering to help set up early, I found the bag, the pink one, right where Amanda had left it. I wore the gloves, took a Q-tip from inside the sealed pack she had half opened for the party activities, and gently swiped the inner edge of the pacifier she'd said was already tested for comfort. I sealed it, labeled it, mailed it that afternoon, and then I waited. The test wouldn't be back in time for the shower. But that didn't matter, because what I had planned for the shower didn't require the results yet. It only required one thing: suspicion. All I needed to do was plant the seed, and once planted, it would grow, because guilt always waters it faster than truth ever could. There's a particular kind of madness people assign to grieving women, especially when we stop crying and start remembering. They call it bitterness, obsession, overreaction. But I wasn't any of those things. I was documenting. When someone tears down your story, the only defense is receipts. So I had them, not in a petty folder marked proof, but in a spreadsheet, a journal, screenshots, and my memory. Pain doesn't always dull. It sharpens, like a knife you keep polishing because you know one day you might need it. The night before the shower, I laid everything out like it was evidence in a trial. I wasn't planning a scene. Not yet. This wasn't revenge, it was readiness. If they wanted me erased, I wanted them to see exactly what they buried. I went through Amanda's public posts again, her captions full of sentiment and saccharine sweetness. Connor and I are just so blessed. This baby brought us back together. Miracles come in the form of little kicks and growing hearts. Can't wait to meet our princess. She's already so loved. And the one that really got me? Sometimes God gives you double when you've been broken. I read that while staring at my still, flat stomach. She wanted me to see it. Every post, every message, every time she wrapped herself in joy, she made sure to hang it like a curtain in front of my grief. But this wasn't just about me anymore. It was about the truth. Because I'd received a confirmation email from the DNA lab earlier that day. The sample had been accepted. They'd be emailing me within 4 business days. If the results were what I expected, Amanda's fairy tale would unravel faster than she could say, baby shower. But I wasn't waiting for that. Tomorrow was about impact, not proof. I was going to remind them all that I existed, that I saw, that I knew. I prepared everything that night with quiet, deliberate calm. 12 envelopes, white, simple, clean. Inside each one was a single page, formatted to look like a game. The top was titled, "Who Does Baby Look Like?" And beneath it, a column for guesses, a column with vague clues. And at the bottom, in bold, "Just for fun, unless it's not." I folded each one, sealed them with a gold sticker, and placed them in a floral paper bag with tissue. It was my gift to the party. At the last second, I added something else. Each envelope included a blank DNA kit card, just a sample from the company I used, branded with their logo and return information. It wasn't to scare them, it was to spark a question. Once a question is planted, it grows. And once it grows, it spreads. Especially in families like mine, where gossip runs faster than truth and image matters more than substance. When I arrived at the shower, the house was unrecognizable. Balloons everywhere. A giant archway in pastel pink and gold. A three-tiered cake with fondant baby shoes on top. Amanda stood near the fireplace in a fitted dress, with Mama across the chest in glittering rhinestones. She had a flower crown on. She looked like a Pinterest ad come to life. "Rachel!" she squealed when she saw me, fake joy radiating off her like perfume. "I wasn't sure you'd come." "I wouldn't miss it," I said. "Family is everything, right?" She smiled like she believed it. Mom came over next, arms outstretched. "Oh, honey, it's so good to see you with us again." I wanted to say, "You mean among the living, or just among the useful?" But I didn't. I hugged her instead. Briefly. Just enough to feel her heartbeat a little faster. The room was filled with relatives, neighbors, church friends, people who once hugged me at my baby announcement and now barely looked me in the eye. I wandered around, sipping the warm punch, making small talk with strangers. And then I pulled Amanda aside. "I brought a little game," I said. "Something to make the shower more interactive." Her eyes narrowed just slightly. "Game?" "Don't worry, it's harmless. And fun. You'll love it." I handed her the floral bag. She peeked inside and saw the envelopes. "Cute packaging," she said, but her voice wasn't sure. "I figured we could pass them out during gift time," I said. "You know, lighten the mood." The irony nearly made me laugh. Lighten the mood, at the party where I was supposed to be invisible. Amanda nodded slowly. "Fine, but keep it short, okay?" "Of course." I walked away before she could ask more questions. Because I wasn't there to explain. I was there to remind, to plant one single poisonous seed in the middle of her perfect garden party, and let the roots do the rest. The thing no one tells you about truth is how quietly it arrives. It doesn't always roar in with justice or slam down with fireworks. Sometimes it slides into your inbox with a subject line as sterile as a bank statement. No fanfare, just finality. Subject: DNA results. Private and confidential. I stared at the screen. My finger hovered over the mouse, frozen in that space between hope and dread. I had already prepared for this, emotionally, mentally. But there's a difference between preparing and facing, between guessing and knowing. I clicked. It opened slowly, a few charts, a few explanations. Then the line that mattered. Probability of paternity, 0.00%. Connor Bennett is excluded as the biological father. There it was, black and white, cold and undeniable. I closed the laptop and sat in silence, not with satisfaction, not even with anger, just stillness. Amanda had lied. For months. Built her story on a foundation she knew was crumbling. And no one questioned her. Not Mom, not Connor, not the dozens of people clapping for her at the baby shower like she was the Virgin Mary. And me? I had been branded the bitter one, the unstable one, the problem. But now I had proof, and I didn't feel victorious. I felt empty. Because even after all the work, all the planning, all the silent watching, I still didn't have what I lost. No piece of paper would give me back the child I carried, even for a little while. No envelope could hold the heartbeat I heard just once before it disappeared. All I had was truth. And truth without compassion is just a weapon. I could use it. I knew that. But the real question was, should I? The next day, I got a call from Lily, Amanda's friend, the one who had accidentally sent me the original email. Her voice was clipped, nervous. "Rachel? Hey, just wanted to check in. Amanda's a little shaken. Some people at the shower didn't understand the baby look-alike game. It caused a bit of a stir." I smiled faintly. "Did it?" "Yeah. I mean, a few guests started asking questions about timing, about when Amanda and Connor got back together. It got kind of weird." "I see." She hesitated. "Amanda thinks Maybe you were trying to cause drama. Was I? I don't know. I told her I didn't think you'd do that. But Rachel, if there's something you're trying to say, maybe just say it directly. To her. Not like that. I let the silence linger. Then I said, sometimes the way you say something is the only reason people finally listen. Lily didn't reply. She didn't have to, because I already knew the storm had started. I had only passed out questions, but Amanda was the one living inside answers she couldn't control. Later that evening, Mom called, straight to voicemail. Then again, then a third time. On the fourth ring, I picked up. Rachel! Her voice was sharp, exhausted, like she'd been trying to suppress panic and it finally broke through. Hi, Mom. What the hell did you do? To whom? Don't be smart. Amanda's distraught. Connor's not speaking to her. People are asking questions. You embarrassed your family. No, I said calmly. I gave them an opportunity to think. What they did with that is on them. Why are you doing this? I laughed once, cold and small. You mean, why did I show up at a party I wasn't invited to? Why did I smile through cake and streamers while the woman who mocked my miscarriage opened gifts labeled Miracle Baby? Or do you mean, why did I finally stop pretending? You could have talked to us. I did. You told me to get over it. Mom went quiet, and I realized something in that moment. Her silence wasn't guilt. It was fear. Because if the lie unraveled, so would her version of our family. That night, I received a message from Connor. Just one line. Is it true? I didn't respond, because it wasn't my job to explain Amanda's truth to him. It never had been. I simply sent him a photo of the lab results. No caption, no context. He saw the numbers. And I never heard from him again. For the first time in months, I slept without waking up in a panic. Not because everything was okay, but because I no longer felt powerless. I didn't want revenge. I didn't want Amanda to suffer the way I had. I just wanted her world to stop spinning long enough for her to look down and see who she stepped on to get there. And maybe, just maybe, start to feel it. Because the difference between guilt and grief is simple. Guilt is heavy, but deserved. Grief is just love with nowhere to go. And I was finally ready to carry mine forward. Not as shame, but as memory. The day of the shower arrived like any other spring morning in Oregon. Damp, but blooming. It should have felt peaceful, maybe even sentimental. But the moment I pulled up to Mom's house and saw the pastel balloons swaying in the driveway, I felt a different kind of tightness in my chest. This wasn't a celebration. It was a stage, and every performer had rehearsed their smiles. I wore a simple navy dress. No pink, no flowers, no frills. Just clean lines, like armor. I carried my gift bag, the one with the envelopes, like a weapon no one recognized yet. Inside, the house was a Pinterest board brought to life. Baby bottles hanging from the ceiling. A table draped in white lace and pink confetti. A mommy-to-be throne set up near the fireplace. Amanda stood in front of it, radiant in a satin wrap dress that screamed new life. Her bump was center stage. Her smile? Fragile, like porcelain that knew a crack was coming. I walked in and saw the moment she noticed me. Her smile twitched. Not quite a frown, just awareness. I wasn't part of her plan, but here I was anyway. Oh, Rachel, she said with practiced surprise. You came. Of course, I replied. Family, right? Her jaw tensed ever so slightly. Mom swooped in before the air could get heavier. Rachel, darling, come say hi to the ladies. Amanda's friends from college are here. And Lily's mother. You remember her? I did. Vaguely. But I nodded and followed. I greeted everyone politely, playing the part. For the first 30 minutes, I blended in like a pro. I smiled, complimented the decorations, even helped refill the pink lemonade. I let them relax. Let Amanda think maybe, just maybe, I had let it go. And then I saw it. On the dessert table, tucked behind a cake stand, the baby bag, pink with tiny white daisies, the same one Amanda always carried around for photo ops. I didn't need it anymore. My swab had already been mailed days ago, but it was still symbolic. I walked over casually, lifted the edge of the bag, and peeked in. There it was, the pacifier she'd shown off online, the bottle with the rubber nipple, all the little props for her perfect story. I closed the bag and turned around. It was time. Lily tapped her glass with a spoon. "All right, everyone, it's gift time!" Amanda perched on her throne, glowing under the attention. Camera phones were out, smiles were fixed, and one by one, she opened packages, each cooed over like holy relics. A tiny onesie with her daughter's name, Hope, stitched on the front. A diaper cake towered like a wedding centerpiece. Lavender-scented baby lotion kits. And then, my gift bag. Amanda paused. She looked at it like she was trying to see through the tissue paper. "Oh, this one's from Rachel," Lily chirped. Amanda hesitated, then forced a smile. "Let's see what we've got here." She reached in, pulled out the first envelope, and read the front. "Who does baby look like?" She frowned. "It's a little game," I said from across the room. "For everyone. Pass them around." Mom gave me a sharp look. "Rachel." But it was too late. People had already opened theirs. Whispers started within seconds. "What kind of game is this? Is this real? Is this a DNA thing?" Amanda held hers like it was on fire. Her hands trembled. "What is this supposed to mean?" she asked, voice tightening. I stood up slowly, my tone calm and measured. "It's just a game. I thought it would be fun to guess who the baby might resemble. You know, her dad, her mom, someone else." Connor stiffened in his seat, his brow furrowed. Amanda's face turned red. "You're trying to humiliate me." "No," I said softly. "I'm just giving people what they gave me. Attention." "You're insane," she hissed. I walked over and stopped in front of her. "No, I just kept receipts." Her breathing quickened. "You think this is funny? You think this is some kind of revenge?" "I think truth has a funny way of showing up at the worst time," I said, then turned to the room. "But don't worry, this isn't about destroying Amanda's day. It's about finally acknowledging that not every smile in this family is earned." Connor stood. Amanda reached for him, but he stepped back. That was the moment her world tilted. I gathered my things quietly. No shouting, no tears, just purpose. As I reached the door, I glanced back. Mom was still seated, her face pale. She looked at me, but not with rage, with fear. She knew it was coming. She just didn't know how much further it would go. And Amanda? She was frozen in her glittering chair, holding an envelope in one hand, her other clutching her belly like it might shield her from the shame. But I wasn't the one who broke anything. I just turned on the lights. For a party built on joy, it ended in silence. That's the thing about truth. When it finally cuts through the noise, it doesn't scream. It doesn't need to. It just lands. And the impact ripples outward like a dropped glass shattering at a wedding reception. Everyone pretends not to look, but no one can look away. I didn't wait for Amanda to recover. As I stepped outside into the brisk spring air, I heard muffled gasps, a wine glass clink against tile, someone whispering, "She's always been unstable." Maybe they meant me, maybe Amanda. Didn't matter. The envelope had done its job. Amanda could spin it however she wanted. But the questions had been planted. They'd grow. Doubt always does. I didn't drive straight home. I sat in my car for a while, parked a few blocks away with the engine off, and my hands trembling around the steering wheel. Not with fear. Not even with regret. With release. It was done. The years I'd spent holding my tongue while Amanda spun her golden threads into pity and praise. Over. The weight I'd carried since February, when the world asked me to smile while my body screamed in silence, released. But this wasn't the end. It never is when family's involved. I didn't hear from anyone that night. Not Amanda, not Mom, not even the relatives who usually love to gossip over Facebook messages or late night just checking in texts. Silence. And then, just before midnight, my phone buzzed. A message from Connor. "We need to talk." I didn't answer. He followed up with, "I read the test." So she showed him. Or someone else did. The message sat on my screen, pulsing like a heartbeat I didn't trust anymore. "She lied to me. The whole time. I don't know what to do." That one, I did respond to. You don't need to know what to do. You just need to stop pretending you didn't notice. He didn't reply, because deep down, he had known. Connor wasn't a bad man, but he was a coward. A coward who ignored the timeline, the slip-ups, the deflections. All because it was easier to believe the story Amanda gave him than to confront the truth sitting right in front of him. Just like Mom. Just like everyone else. The next morning, I received another text. This time from Mom. "Call me, please." I didn't. She called twice. By the third time, I answered. "Rachel," she said, no greeting, her voice tired and tight. "What have you done?" "Something you never had the spine to do," I said flatly. "Tell the truth." "You've humiliated your sister in front of everyone. That baby didn't ask for any of this." "No, and neither did mine." Silence. And then, quietly, "That's not the same." "No," I agreed, "because when I lost mine, you told me to get over it. You served Amanda's pregnancy like it was dessert at my funeral." "I was trying to keep peace in the family." "No, you were trying to keep Amanda's image intact." Her voice cracked. "You don't understand. She was scared." "So was I." A long pause, and then, "This isn't how family handles things." I smiled bitterly. "You're right. But then again, maybe this family never handled anything. We just hid it under baby showers and casseroles." She didn't respond. Not with an apology, not with guilt, just more silence. I hung up. That afternoon, I went for a walk around my neighborhood. The trees were blooming again, life moving forward, as it does, quietly, regardless of who's left grieving in its wake. At the corner coffee shop, I ordered my usual. The barista, the same girl who'd once seen me sobbing in my car outside their window after my doctor's appointment, handed it over without a word, but with a knowing look. Like maybe she remembered. Like maybe someone, even one stranger, had noticed me when my own family didn't. It made me tear up in the safety of my sunglasses. Not from pain, from relief. Because I wasn't invisible anymore. Not to them, not to myself. Later that week, I got a call from my cousin Jess. She was always on the sidelines of family drama, observant, quiet, never one to stir the pot. "Hey," she said, voice low like we were sharing secrets in a high school hallway again. "Just wanted to say, I saw what you did." I said nothing. And I think it was brave. That made something in my chest ache. She continued. "People always say Amanda shines, but she only shines because everyone else is told to dim their light. You didn't dim yours this time. That matters." I hadn't realized how much I needed someone to say that. Even once. Even softly. I didn't go to the next family dinner. Mom texted that they were keeping things small for now. Amanda's name wasn't mentioned. No one said anything about the envelopes, but I know they're still thinking about them, because I left just enough doubt to make them question everything. The cake, the smiles, the nursery colors. It's all built on a house of cards now, and all I had to do was blow. It wasn't just the envelope that broke her. It was the timing. Amanda had spent the whole shower being worshipped. She sat on her flower throne, smiled for every selfie, and let everyone marvel at her growing belly like she was carrying the second coming. People passed her gifts like offerings at an altar. She soaked it in, every compliment, every You're glowing, and you're going to be such a great mom. It wasn't about becoming a mother. It was about being adored, and I had waited until just the right moment to take that away. After the big-ticket gifts had been opened, after the cake had been sliced and the champagne flutes had clinked, Amanda stood up and cleared her throat. "I just want to thank everyone for coming," she said, all breathy and radiant. "This baby has already been showered with so much love, and it means the world to me." Applause, smiles. One of her friends teared up. "And before we go," Amanda continued, "my sister brought something fun for us to do." She turned to me, her voice a little tighter now. "Rachel?" I stood slowly, holding the floral bag in both hands. My heart was steady, my voice calm. "I thought it'd be cute to play a little game. It's called Who Does Baby Look Like?" A few people chuckled politely, others raised eyebrows. I began handing out the envelopes, moving table to table. Mom took hers without looking at me. Amanda's friends opened them right away, scanning the page. And then, a shift. Someone let out a small gasp. Another leaned in and whispered something to the woman next to her. Amanda opened hers last. She read the first line, then the second. Her hands tightened around the paper. "What is this?" she said aloud, her voice sharp, slicing through the buzz of small talk and sugar. Connor looked over her shoulder. His face blanched. "This isn't a game," Amanda snapped. This is disgusting." I tilted my head. "Why? It's just some playful questions, like who the baby will resemble. It's a fair question, isn't it?" Amanda stood up so fast her chair scraped against the wood floor. "You're trying to humiliate me," she said. "You're sick, Rachel." The room went silent, and then I walked to the front of the room, slowly, deliberately. "I'm not trying to humiliate you," I said. "I'm simply giving everyone the chance to ask what they've been thinking, but too afraid to say." Amanda's eyes widened. Her voice dropped. "You don't know anything." "Oh, but I do." I turned to Connor, who was now staring at me with dread pooling in his eyes. "Amanda said this baby brought you two back together, but the math never added up, did it?" "Stop it!" Amanda shouted. "You're ruining everything!" I turned to her, quiet but firm. "No, Amanda. I didn't ruin anything. I just stopped playing along." For a moment, no one moved. Then Connor rose from his seat, the envelope still in his hands. He didn't look at Amanda, or me. He walked out the front door without a word. Amanda stood frozen, red-faced, shaking. Her lower lip quivered. "You jealous, bitter—" But I didn't need to hear the rest. I turned, walked back to my purse, picked it up, and headed for the exit. As I reached the door, I heard it. A sob. Amanda had dropped into her chair, holding her belly with one hand and tearing the envelope in half with the other. "I didn't mean for it to happen this way," she cried out. "It wasn't supposed to go like this." Mom rushed to her side. I didn't look back, because I wasn't staying to comfort the liar this time. Let them cry. Let them spin. Let them feel what it's like to live inside uncertainty. Outside, the wind was cool against my face. The sun, half hidden behind clouds, lit the lawn in a muted glow. I inhaled deeply. It smelled like rain and lavender, and something else. Peace. For the first time in a long, long while, I wasn't carrying the weight of everyone else's comfort on my back. That night, my phone buzzed relentlessly. Missed calls from Mom. A voicemail from Amanda's friend Lily. One text from Amanda. "You ruined my life." I didn't respond, because she was wrong. She ruined her own life the moment she turned my miscarriage into a footnote and her lie into a legacy. I simply handed her the mirror and let her see it for herself. When I was little, I used to imagine that someday, during a big family gathering, Thanksgiving maybe, or Christmas, someone would raise a toast to me. Not Amanda, me. They'd say something kind, something real, maybe about my kindness, my strength, Maybe they'd noticed that I was always the one clearing the plates while everyone else posed for photos. But that moment never came. Until now. Except it wasn't a toast. It wasn't a compliment. And it sure as hell wasn't planned. It was the crash no one saw coming. And the silence that followed it? That was the closest I'd ever come to being heard. The fallout came faster than I expected. By the time I got home that night, the group chat Mom had created for Amanda's shower angels had been deleted. Several of Amanda's friends unfollowed her on Instagram. And Connor? He posted a black screen to his story. Just that. No caption, no explanation. It was enough. By morning, word had spread. I didn't know who told who. I didn't have to. Because Amanda called. I didn't answer. Then Mom texted, "You need to apologize. Amanda is in pieces." I stared at the message for a long time, then typed back, "She'll survive." I didn't. I left it at that. 3 days passed. Quiet. No more voicemails. No more late-night knocks on my door. Just stillness. And it felt unfamiliar. Then came the shift. At first, it was subtle. My cousin Jess texted me again. "They're scrambling. Amanda's trying to control the story, but too many people were there. It's out." She followed it with, "I'm proud of you. For once, someone told the truth." Then a second cousin messaged. Someone I hadn't heard from in years. "Saw the aftermath. Just want you to know I believe you." That one made me cry. Not because I needed validation, but because I realized how long it had been since someone said they believed me. When I miscarried, everyone had words, but no one had presence. No one sat with me. No one asked what I needed. They just said, "Time will heal," and moved on, like my pain had an expiration date. Amanda's lie made headlines in our family. My grief had barely been a footnote. Eventually, Mom showed up. Unannounced. As always. I opened the door because I was done hiding. She looked tired, her makeup imperfect, her blouse wrinkled in a way that suggested she hadn't slept well. "I just want to talk," she said. I stepped aside. She walked into my living room and stood there for a long time, looking at the photos on my shelves, me as a kid, my college graduation, a vacation shot from a few years ago. But not a single one included Amanda, or her baby bump. "You planned it," she finally said. "The whole thing." "I did," I said calmly. "Because I had to." "She's devastated. She's dishonest. She's still your sister. And I was still your daughter when you told me to get over my miscarriage." Her shoulders slumped. She didn't argue. She just sat down. "I didn't know what to say," she murmured. "That's the problem. You never knew what to say, so you said nothing, and your silence said everything." She looked up at me. "I didn't want to lose both of you." "You already did." Her eyes filled with tears, but I didn't comfort her. Not because I didn't care, but because for once, she needed to feel the discomfort she spent her life avoiding. She sniffed. "What do you want me to do?" "Look me in the eye," I said, "and admit what you did." She hesitated. Then quietly, "I erased your pain." "Yes, you did." "I'm sorry." It wasn't loud. It wasn't perfect. But it was real, and that mattered. She left without asking for forgiveness, and I didn't offer it. Because some wounds don't close with apologies. They close with clarity. And I had it now. Amanda never called again. But I heard through Jess that Connor moved out. He told Amanda he needed space. He got a paternity test of his own. Same result. She told people I ruined her life. But the truth is, she built her life on a lie. All I did was pull the curtain back. I still don't know what the future holds. Maybe Amanda will raise that baby alone. Maybe she'll find someone else. Maybe one day she'll admit to herself what she did. Maybe she won't. That's not my responsibility anymore. What is? Me. My healing. My future. My voice. Because for the first time in a long time, I'm not just the girl who lost her baby, or the bitter sister, or the problem daughter. I'm Rachel, and I remember everything. Grief leaves a shadow. Even when you're standing in full sunlight, it trails behind you. Silent, heavy, familiar. After the baby shower, the silence became louder than it had ever been before. No one called me. No, let's talk. No, you okay? Not even an, I'm disappointed in you. Just nothing. The family group chat stayed dormant. Photos of Amanda stopped showing up in Mom's Instagram stories. Connor's page disappeared altogether. Lily posted a vague quote about toxic people and protecting peace. But even that felt half-hearted. No one knew what to say. Because truth, once exposed, doesn't give people instructions on how to live with it. It just leaves them staring at the wreckage. I wish I could say I celebrated. That I went out, had a glass of wine, toasted to justice, and moved on. But I didn't. I sat in my apartment for 3 days with my phone on silent and my laptop closed. I stared out my window and listened to the world move on like it always does. And for once, I let myself feel everything. Not just the satisfaction, not just the defiance, but the loss. Not just of my baby, but of a family I'd finally accepted I never really had. On the 4th day, I got a letter in the mail. Not an email, not a text, an actual letter, folded neatly, no return address. Inside was a single line. You didn't ruin anything. You just exposed what we were all pretending not to see. No signature, no clue who it came from, but I knew. It was from someone who had been in that room, someone who had watched Amanda melt down and thought, finally. It didn't matter who. What mattered was that even in the quiet, I wasn't as alone as they'd hoped I'd feel. The strange thing about speaking the truth is how many people come out of hiding afterward. Quiet messages, side conversations, small acknowledgments. My aunt, Mom's younger sister, sent me a photo of a quilt she was working on. No explanation, just a caption. For the one who never got to come home. I stared at it for a long time. A white center, pale blues around the edge, small embroidered stars. She didn't have to say it. I knew it was for the baby I lost. And somehow, that gesture did more for my healing than anything else ever had. A week later, I ran into Connor. I was leaving the pharmacy when I spotted him standing across the street, leaning against his car like he'd been waiting. He looked different, tired, smaller somehow, like the truth had taken more from him than he was ready to lose. Rachel, he said. I didn't answer, just kept walking. He stepped into my path. I just wanted to say, I'm sorry, for not asking, for believing her without question. I crossed my arms. You knew something was off. You just didn't want to be the one who called it out. He nodded. I didn't want it to be real. Neither did I. He looked down. I'm not the father. I know. She admitted it. Said she didn't know for sure, but she hoped. Hoped, I repeated. That's one word for it. We stood in silence. The wind picked up, carrying the scent of the bakery down the street. I wish I had done something sooner, he said. You still can. That child deserves the truth, even if Amanda doesn't. He looked up at me. You're stronger than anyone in that family gives you credit for. I know. Then I walked past him and didn't look back. I started therapy a month after the shower. Not because of the fallout, but because of the freedom. I didn't want to carry what was left of this pain into the next version of my life. In one of our sessions, the therapist asked me, what did you lose, really? And I surprised myself when I said, the illusion that they would love me unconditionally. She nodded slowly. And what did you gain? I didn't answer right away. But now? I know. I gained myself. The me that doesn't need to be the peacemaker. The quiet one. The doormat. The girl who takes punches with a smile and still shows up with a casserole dish. That version of me died in February. And what rose in her place? A woman who walks into a room and doesn't ask for space. She takes it. I don't know what's next for Amanda. I don't ask. I don't scroll through her socials. I don't gossip with cousins. I don't need to. Because her story will unfold without my attention now. Mine is finally beginning. They always said time would heal. They said grief is a process, a journey, something you just have to work through until you feel whole again. But what they never told me was this. The price of staying quiet, of swallowing your truth to keep peace, is too high. It costs your voice, your dignity, your sense of self. For years, I paid that price without realizing it. After my miscarriage, I wore silence like a mask, one I thought would protect me. But instead, it made me invisible. My family told me to get over it, to stop dwelling on what I'd lost, to stop making it about me. They threw me into the shadows while they celebrated Amanda's perfect pregnancy like a national holiday. I smiled, I nodded, I played my part. But inside, I was breaking. When I finally stood up and let the truth out, handing out those DNA tests at Amanda's baby shower, I thought it would bring relief. I thought exposing the lie would heal some wounds. But healing is never that simple. It doesn't come wrapped in bows or easy apologies. It comes in the spaces left behind when people turn away. Mom still won't make eye contact with me. She avoids my calls, my texts, my attempts to bridge the silence. I see her at family events, if I'm invited, but it's like I'm a ghost passing through. Amanda? She hasn't spoken to me since that day. Connor? He's gone for good. The family I thought I had is gone too. But I don't regret it, not for a second, because keeping quiet cost me everything. And speaking up cost me some things too, people mostly. But it gave me back what mattered most, my truth, my voice, my peace. Now I spend my days helping other women who've been silenced by grief and betrayal. I volunteer with miscarriage support groups. I share my story openly, raw and unfiltered, because I want others to know they aren't alone, that their pain is valid, that their voices deserve to be heard. Some days are harder than others. There are moments when the silence in my own home feels deafening, but I remind myself, healing isn't a destination, it's a daily choice. To live authentically, to love myself fiercely, to never let anyone else define my worth. And one day, when I'm ready, I'll invite Mom to sit with me, really sit. Not to forgive or forget, but to acknowledge, to see me, because that's what family is supposed to do. To see you, even when it's hard, even when the truth hurts. Until then, I keep moving forward, quietly, confidently, carrying my loss, my love, and my hard-won strength. Thank you for following Rachel's story. If you or someone you know has experienced miscarriage or family betrayal, remember, your pain is real and your voice matters. You are not alone.